Vegas put out their win totals for your San Antonio Spurs next season. Let's just say you will not be happy.
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey everybody, this is Nathan Ray Clark from Criminal Minds and Modern Family, and you are listening to Locked On Spurs, hosted by Victor Wembanyama's new best friend, Jeff Garcia.
Welcome back to Locked On Spurs right here on the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Ken's 5 San Antonio TGIF. Everybody's getting ready for the weekend, and hopefully you all have a good one. I am the lead writer for Spurs content over at Ken's 5, so make sure to follow me on Twitter at JeffGSpurs. I'm part of the Locked On NBA Network, your team every single day, except for the offseason where we just go part-time. Sorry for another audio only. There's just been a disaster in my personal life right now. No, nothing. Nobody's dying. Nothing like that. No, it is that just got to get some stuff done. And this has been a disaster the last 24 hours. But we're back, so we'll just take it in stride. What are we talking about today? We're going to be looking at Las Vegas. Yeah, they're back at it again. From one sports book saying they'll be the worst team in the league, for another one saying Wemby's not all that, to another one saying Wemby ain't going to win any type of Rookie of the Year award. What is the latest now? The win totals are out. Can't wait to hear what our guest is going to say about this buy or sell question right here on Locked On Spurs. And then we're going to get into who is the next, I want to say big three, because that denotes, Timmy and Tony and Manu. Who's the next soft three? How's that? Next little kid big three. How's that? We're looking at the current roster. Who are the three players that could possibly be the core to build around for your San Antonio Spurs? So, yeah, a lot of places, a lot of people, just people in general, sports books, whatever, talking heads are just discounting the Spurs, despite the fact that the Spurs landed the number one pick and adding Wemby. It's interesting because you would think that Wemby, the Wemby effect would be enough to get people on the Spurs bandwagon, and so far it's not. There's naysayers about Wemby. There's Vegas being naysayers about anything Spurs. Seriously, that new in-season tournament, yeah, apparently, according to Vegas, Spurs not going to be a factor. So what gives? It looks like the Spurs may have to prove some naysayers wrong. And you know what? If you're a Spurs fan, you like that. Because even during the height of the Spurs' power in that dynasty era, they were still being discounted. So what has really changed? Not much, really. Sure, the Spurs are on national TV. It's a bbig step from last year, 1 to 19 now, but yeah, no Christmas games for the Spurs. By the way, the Spurs are still not even considered a playoff team. I know, sure, okay, maybe that's pie in the sky right now, but you would think a little bit more respect will go to the Spurs' way, but it's not. But you, as a Spurs fan, should just say, okay, par for the course. Yeah, how many times did Tony Parker get overlooked as one of the best point guards during his playing time? He did, despite his resume and Hall of Fame resume, I might add, flying in the face of guys like Jason Kidd and Chris Paul and Deron Williams. Yeah, there's a time where people picked Deron Williams over Tony Parker as the better point guard. Tim Duncan, how many times we felt that he should be the face of the league, and he wasn't. It was Shaq. It was Kobe. Manu Ginobili, electric and everything, but really wasn't featured in some sort of bigger microscope, or a bigger telescope, I should say, during his playing times. But here we are. What has really changed? If anything has changed, you just added a player that could flip that script, Wemby, and be that alien, that dynamic player that the league would love to embrace. But what if the league doesn't? Should you be surprised? They didn't do it for Robinson. He's Mr. Robinson's neighborhood. He was in a commercial with Charles Barkley. He was in a rap video with MC Hammer. Still wasn't good enough. Tim Duncan racking up titles, racking up wins, busting down the Lakers dynasty. Nothing happened. And then Manu and Tony, well, you know the rest. Well, hopefully that will change in the near future. But as of right now, it looks like it's still par for the course. It's going to bring in our guest. He is my good friend. He is Nick Mantas of iHeart Radio. The man who apparently is on his cell phone today because he's dealing with power outages. You okay, buddy?
I'm good. I'm good. We're okay with power outage. We got the notification that there's a possibility between now when we're recording they're having the ability to have some rolling 15-minute outages, and I was like, you know what? Let me just do cell phone today. If we're doing audio only, it just kind of works out perfectly because this gives us an opportunity to make sure that even if the power goes out, I can still be on with you, and we can get the podcast going. So
Yeah, exactly.
but
Yeah. It's kind of a twofold thing. You got my stupid little personal thing that I got going, and you got power outages right now, so it'll just probably be a safe bet to do audio for today. We'll probably be back, more than likely be back on video next week. But
awesome.
Nick, let's go and dive into. Oh, by the way, everybody, make sure to follow Nick on Twitter at Nick__Mantas and on Instagram. I think 1 underscore, 2 underscores on Instagram.
There's actually no underscores on Instagram.
Ooh.
It's just Nick. It's just straight through. It's Nick Mantas TV on Instagram. So make sure you guys give us a
See how he
follow
has
on
that little
that.
extra TV at the end. Nick Mantas TV kind of rolls with the tongue there. So Nick, I know you're a new guy in San Antonio, but I'm pretty sure you heard about this during the height of the Spurs powers. Spurs being overlooked. It looks like par for the course.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Caesars Sportsbook put out their win total projections. I don't know those future bets. Maybe a suckers bet, but the latest line out from Vegas is that the projection for the Spurs 23-24 season win total is at, drum roll please, 28.5. Buying or selling?
8.5. Okay, that's a little bit better than I thought they were actually going to give the Spurs, because I think that they were just looking at the summer league games and thinking to themselves, "Oh, okay, this is exactly what we saw last year." Especially off that first summer league game where when we didn't have the best performance, but then again he was a couple notches away from the double himself. So I'm selling. I'm not buying that at all. 28.5. We all know that when it comes to putting your money where your mouth is, just a lot of people are going to look at this, especially in Vegas. We're going to say, "What have you done for me lately? What is the trend of this team? What is going on with this organization? The way in which this is moving?" And a lot of the things that we've seen from the Spurs organization over this offseason is obviously the biggest move with getting Wemby, and then the closing of the chapter of the big, the past of the big three with Tony Parker going in, as well as and Becky Hammon and Pop going into the Hall of Fame. And so I think a lot of people are looking at that as it was a closure more than a rebirth. And for those of us who are here in San Antonio, those of us who have been following the team, we know that there's a rebirth coming. And so what I've always been mentioning and mentioned here, on this podcast before in past episodes, which is that I have them right in the 35 to 40 range. So I'm going with the over on that one if I had to put my money on it. A 40-win team last year, like we've talked about before, was the Oklahoma City Thunder, who made the play-in. You mentioned that they're not a playoff team, but I could say maybe they might have the potential to be a play-in team, which would be exciting to see. You got a young big man on their group, just like the Spurs do, with a deep guard play, talented guys who could take over the league. A group that also has everything to prove. They want to prove themselves in this league, so they have that hunger of a young group as well, just like the Spurs do. And we're talking about a 40-win team in a league like this, especially coming through the West. It's going to be extremely difficult. But I like the Spurs to smash those Vegas numbers. So you can go ahead and put me down for the over. Let's make some money off that.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. There's so many other factors. Obviously the ones you nailed right now, but there's more that I don't think Vegas is really seeing. This is a situation, Nick, where I want to look at the Caesars Sportsbook and be like, tell me you don't watch the Spurs without telling me you don't watch the Spurs, because you obviously don't watch the Spurs Caesars Sportsbook. But when we get back, we're gonna tell you what Caesars is not looking at. So Nick got you set up. I'm gonna knock down the pins when we get back right here on Locked On Spurs with Nick Mantas of iHeart Radio. Hey, I want to talk to you about FanDuel. Take your first swing at betting MLB on FanDuel and get 10 times, you heard that right, 10 times your first bet amount in bonus bets up to $200. It's a lot of money. That's right. Just bet $20 and you'll land $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. Check it out. That's $200 you can spend betting from everything from the money line to the over and under to who you think is going to be the first home run. All on an app that's safe, secure, super easy to use. Plus, when you win, you get paid instantly. I mean, what more can you want? Well, there's no better place to bet on MLB than on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. I go there. I love they're looking at their NBA futures, their projections on the Spurs and Wemby. It's all there. You got to go to FanDuel right now. Sign up today. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOnNBA and get up to $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com/LockedOnNBA. FanDuel, the official partner of Major League Baseball. And we are back right here on Locked On Spurs with Nick Mantas. He is with iHeart Radio. Follow him on Twitter at Nick__Mantas, or be fancy and go to his Instagram, Nick Mantas TV. Everybody. It has a fun game there. He and his buddy do this. I always want to call it Wheel of Fortune because I see the wheel in my head.
Right.
But it's like a game involving a wheel. And what was it again? It was like who does this compare to? Something like that. Fair to compare, right?
The number 2 and compare. You can find it. Well, we post the videos on my Instagram, and as well as my buddy Darren Zaslow. We post it on our Instagram pages, but the main place you could see it is its TikTok page. Fair, the number 2 and compare. And we take a certain object in an NFL or NBA or MLB, any type of league, and then you take a player. You say, okay, who is the latest episode was who was the waffle fries of the NFL? And so it's kind of like not just knowing the league, but it's also the kind of doing some comparisons and tell me why the player you chose is the waffle fries of the NFL. So make sure you guys go check it out on TikTok and on my Instagram page, Nick Mantas TV, as well as Darren Zaslow, my co-host. He and I went to school together, journalism school together at Northwestern. So we're good buddies and both sports broadcasters, and we wanted to do something fun and cool. And I'm really glad that we're getting a lot of great feedback from a lot of people who are really enjoying, kind of putting their brains into a different way of looking at sports. And so it's been a lot of fun so far.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm thinking about the waffle fry thing. I'm thinking who would be the comparable to the NBA? Like who is the waffle fry of the NBA? So the first thing that popped in my head, Nick, was last year's Spurs perimeter defense. Like Swiss cheese, but like holy, kind of goes in and out like that. There's
I like that.
Very porous, very
Oh.
porous. So that's the best I could think of on the spot. But hey, we're talking about your Spurs and Caesar Sportsbook's projection of this team only racking up 28.5 wins. Not good. Nick definitely gave you some reasons why that is totally wrong. I'm going to give you more. So first of all, did they forget that Pop re-signed a 5-year deal? He's back, baby. He's back to guide a very young team. Wasn't that the whole buzz on draft day and lottery day? Oh, what best place for Wemby to land with than with Pop and the Spurs? Yeah, Pop may boost Wemby more than what he probably is already. Look what he did with Danny Green. Look what he did with Derek White. Boban. Look what he did with Boban. Now put a Wemby in front of him. Could be doing some wonders for his development. Also, Caesar Sportsbook and listeners, did Vegas forget that last year's team, albeit a very bad one, but this young team took a beating, and guess what? They took some lessons, big lessons to carry into the new season. I think that's going to pay dividends, Nick. There's going to be some fruit off of a very bad season. Look, they were getting clubbed left and right, and perhaps intentionally, but nevertheless, they got valuable NBA minutes. None of this G League and back and forth and sit on the bench and everything. No, Sohan into the fire. Trey Jones, you're it, guy. Who else? Mamu, you want to get in there? Go for it. Have some fun in there. Zach Collins, you're still rehabbing your many injuries. Get out there. So I think this is going to be one of the fruits of a bad season is the experience this young team got, and perhaps a very healthy, hopefully cross the fingers, Devin Vassell, who I think was going to really open eyes next season. You also got this too. Jeremy Sohan spoke with Polish media this offseason saying that he wants to be one of the top 3 Spurs. More on that later. So you have some hunger there, some want, some confidence there. I think there's just so many reasons why 28.5 is just way off. But they always say, don't bet against the house. Geesh. Unless Vegas knows something we don't know, but as of right now, on paper and projecting it out for the Nick and Jeff Sportsbook, we're going to go with 30.5. How about 30.5? We settle for that, or you want to push it to 40? What would be our?
I like that. I would probably go 38.5. Yeah, that would be my number.
Yeah. I'm going to go about 30.5 or a little bit higher, pushing 40. You're on there. I mean, you would think that Wemby's probably going to get really going, cooking after the All-Star break. I mean, I hope he does it earlier, but the only thing I can think of why such a low thing is obviously they're not paying attention, but also maybe they're thinking Wemby's just going to be, load managed too much to the point that he won't be a factor. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see how they manage him. There's always the thought. There's obviously the talk about his size and what he can do. In a more, I guess, talented league like this one. But I think when it comes to what the projection is for him personally as he moves through the year, I think there's a lot of people who, are writing off this team, like you've mentioned. And one of the things that I've seen a lot on social media recently is like this one sound. I want to say it was from Dana White, UFC's commissioner and believe owner or co-founder. And he has this one sound where he says, bet against me. Bet against me. I dare you. Go ahead. Bet against me. See what happens. And I think this team has a little bit of that mentality right now where it's like, oh, okay. You guys put us at 28.5. Go ahead. Bet against me. You guys think that Wemby's sitting there. You guys, oh, okay. You guys think that I'm not going to be good enough? You're not going to think I'm too small? You get different national media who were asking him questions about, getting bigger. And he's telling them, telling the different reporters, you guys should get smaller, and get faster and stuff and thin up and stuff. And it's part of the mystique, I think, in the mindset of this team right now, where it puts them in perspective of saying, like, if that's what you feel about us, like you got us all wrong, and we're going to prove everyone wrong. And I can kind of see it as a revenge tour in a way. And I'm excited to see, what. Exactly. I think Spurs fans especially want to see the revenge tour. Put the sunglasses on, pull the hat brim down a little bit tighter around the head, and go to work and get after it. And I think San Antonio is going to love that, and I think it was going to shock a lot of people.
Nick, I'm going to steal that from you. I'm making it public right now. I'm going to steal that from you, revenge tour. I think that's a great topic that nobody's talking about. We're always talking about the development and it's still technically a rebuild, and it is. We're not out of the Spurs are not out of the woods yet. They're close, but they can hear the cars on the highway. They can see the headlights going by in the woods. They're like, okay, it's almost there. But revenge tour, huh?
So, give me a little courtesy on that one. Just give me a little courtity on that one.
The courtesy will be that you'll come back. Yeah, you'll come back and we'll break it down more. But yeah, 28.5, bad projection there. So everybody, I think we will not buy that. We're gonna go with the over. Go with the Nick and Jeff Sportsbook projection. Future bet right here, 38.5. Hey, when we get back, we're gonna ask a good question. Who is the next soft big three? Does that make sense? Like, we're not going to compare these young kids to Hall of Fame players that wore silver and black, but who could potentially be the next three the Spurs will build around with the current roster? Right here with Nick Mantas of iHeart Radio, on Twitter at Nick__Mantas, and on Instagram at, I'm sorry, not Instagram. Right? No, it's Instagram. Yeah, Instagram at Nick TV. You know what threw me off? Because you said TikTok. I thought, well, maybe he meant his TikTok name. No, it's Nick Mantas TV. But before we get to our next segment, everybody should go check out Mudslingers Drive-Thru Coffee. It's at 2404 Thousand Oaks Drive. They are breaking out so many new flavors. Nick, if you haven't been there, you're really good. You should go, because they have like a new banana flavored kind of coffee pick-me-up drink. Apparently, it's very, very good on social media. Fans are just like retweeting it and saying it's just awesome. They got their staple, which is the Mudslinger, which is espresso, caramel, dark chocolate. It's a really good introduction to coffee. They got their Red Lightning Bolt series. is exactly what it sounds like, Nick. It's sip. Okay, who wants me to clean up their entire house in 2 seconds? That's what it just powers you up so quick. And a part of that, a branch of that, is called the Alien, which is named after Victor Wembanyama. That's a full can of Red Bull. Unfortunately, Nick can't handle that. He can't
Oh,
handle a full can. Is that true,
oh,
Nick? Is that
oh
true?
man! If you saw me back in my Brookline high school days,
Yeah.
when I was playing, I would get on the bus with 2 cans of Red Bull for a game and go play our rivals. I'm putting my helmet on to run through someone's soul. If you guys haven't seen the latest Florida Gators documentary on their rise during the early 2000s and stuff with the Tim Tebow years, one guy hit another guy and he said, that some of his teammates said he ran through his soul, and that's what I was planning on doing, and that's why I grabbed 2 Red Bulls before I when I was getting on the bus. So
well, you know what?
Was it good for me? No. Did
No, probably, yeah. But ask you, like, how
but
were you on the
it was a
floor
lot of fun.
collapsing afterwards? Yeah, but
I
would have put it past Mudslingers to introduce the will drive through your soul drink soon. I mean, at the rate they're going with new flavors, it is coming out fast and furious. They have the OJ. Basically, it's a non-caffeinated drink. It's just a recreation of the old school 70s, 80s Orange Julius drink, only at Mudslingers drive-through coffee. They got dairy alternatives, non-caffeinated drink. Basically, their menu is just outstanding. They're located in the Stone Oak area, like they're 1604-21 area. Again, if you're in San Antonio, go to 2404 Thousand Oaks Drive. You want to check out what they got, go on their Instagram, TikTok, Threads, Twitter, Facebook. I mean, pick a platform. They are there at Mudslinger SATX, open every day, Monday through Sunday, and then repeat that again from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Life is too short for bland coffee. All right, Nick, it's going to wrap up this episode. So, look, we're not being blasphemous here, making that very clear. We know there's only one big 3, and that is Timmy, Tony, and Manu. That's it.
Right.
But, who would be the next light big 3, the next diet, dollar store general big 3 for the Spurs moving forward with the current roster? There are some good candidates, but Nick, give me your 3 guys that you would like to see the Spurs build on. I'm going to take a wild guess. Your number 1 pick is going to be Mamu. I knew it.
Ooh, as much as I love saying Mamu Kelishvili, I enjoy pronouncing his name when I'm doing broadcasts and stuff. I have a lot of fun doing that, but I'm going to have to go with exactly who I think everybody would think. It's got to be Wemby, Jeremy Sohan, and Keldon Johnson. Those are my big 3. Those are my big 3 for moving forward. So who are your big 3? All
right. By the way, before I give you my big 3, I actually was trying to pronounce Mamu's last name to impress you, and I couldn't. I got tongue-tied at the last thing. You know what threw me off? The SHV. I was like,
Vili. Kelishvili.
Yeah. That was throwing me off. So I said, I'm just going to say Mamu. But here are my 3. I'm going to go with Wemby. I'm going to go with Devin Vassell. And I'm going to go with Sohan. Which brings up an interesting point. Is there some debate about where does Devin and Kevin rank? Is Devin going to be the 6th man? Is Keldon going to be the 6th man? I'm not there yet, but I'm getting my marker out, Nick, and about to write it on a piece of paper. I'm close to maybe writing Keldon is what he is already. Like, that's it. Like, he is what he is. He's a guy who will just put his head down and try to score at the rim. Because after year 5 now, he should show something else, and so far he hasn't. But we'll see. Maybe he'll surprise him. Maybe that was just part of the plan last year, just to take it easy. But we'll see. But interesting. Why do you have KJ in your 3?
I think I got KJ just because of the fact that I know that there's more in there. I could tell that there's more in there from him. Obviously, he's going to be a drive and get the and one type of guy, but I think there's more to his game that I don't think he's developed yet. And I think that there's been obviously a lot of attention on him, a lot of attention on Sohan. Now that all the attention is going to be on Wemby, I think he can play a little bit more free. I think he could do more things creatively, offensively, and I think that there's going to be a revamp, knowing that Pop's coming back, and the future of this team is looking upward. I really am excited to see not just his development, but what he could do now that they're not playing for the first round pick anymore. They're playing for more than just what we expected them to play for last year. I'm excited to see how much more he can give to an organization, because you make a very good point in saying that he's had the time to show what he can do in the time that he's already been with the Spurs. But I think there's more in there. I think there's more in there, especially when you have a lot of attention to the post. You could spread guys out a little bit more. You could be more creative. You could have, I want to see Devin Vassell and Trey Jones rounding out my five with Wemby, Sohan, and KJ. I want to see KJ and Vassell playing together. I want to see what that looks like. I'm putting Malachi Branham on the bench right now as a six man and seeing where he could fit in and giving him the opportunities later on. So that's the mindset that I'm going with right now, and I think that there's a lot to be expected from KJ as he goes into this year. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk about moving him, but I really do still see him as an extremely valuable piece, and I think there's a lot more that he can give, and I'm excited to see what he can do when he can play a little bit more free. So why would you pick Devin Vassell over KJ?
I think he's a better two-way player than Keldon.
Okay.
I think he gives you a little bit more defense, a little more reliable outside shooting. Sure, maybe the touches are different, from the two as far as plays called, but minimal turnovers, really values the ball. I also think that he has more. There's more dynamicisms, if that's a word. He's more dynamic than Keldon. Keldon, you can pretty much, if you're defending him, you could be like, okay, just let him beat you shooting. Yeah. With Devin, if you're a defender, you can I got to play up him a little bit, and I got to play back off of him a little bit too. I like his length, and I think if he didn't get hurt last year, I wonder why, then maybe he perhaps could have been last year's best player. But that's why I have him. I just like that he's just a better two-way player than Keldon is right now. And who knows? Maybe, like I said, maybe that was just part of the plan last year. Keldon, take it easy. Devin,
right.
Oh no, you stumped your toe last night. Can't play for 8 games now. But that's who I have. But don't get me, I have Keldon outside my 3, like peeking in. He's not buried in the bench for me.
Sure.
He's very close, but
he's right there.
Just like Devin, he's right there. We'll definitely keep an eye on that. Yeah, look, obviously this Spurs team is not out of the woods yet. They're still in rebuild, quote unquote, but they're close to it. And who knows? Maybe they'll flip some of these players or get a coup and sign a free agent and add them to the mix, and it'll be fun times in San Antonio. Hey, we're done talking. We want to hear from you. Once again, sorry for no video again. I got some personal issues that I have to deal with, and then Nick is basically just could be powerless, no electricity. Yeah, don't want that to happen. Yeah.
Run through it. Texas power grid, baby. We gotta be prepared for anything. So
yeah, we're Texas. We want our own grid where it collapses in the winter, in the summer, in the fall, in the spring.
All the time. Yeah.
All the time. Yeah. Nick, what is cooking over there at iHeart Radio, and of course on your fun TikTok game you got there?
Nothing really new with everything what's going on with iHeart, but obviously with Fair to Compare, like you were just mentioning over on TikTok, Fair, the number 2, and Compare. It's we have a great game and a great show for people to kind of swipe through and kind of look at on TikTok, as well as I'll post the videos on my Instagram, as well as my co-host Darren Zaslow's Instagram as well. He's a broadcaster out at a TV station out in Pittsburgh. He and I went to school together at Northwestern, where we learned how to do this whole journalism thing. And so we wanted to kind of give people an opportunity to look at a certain object and compare it to an athlete in a professional league. So, for example, the latest episode we were just talking about earlier in this episode of this podcast, which is that take a waffle fry and which NFL player is your equivalent of a waffle fry? Who would you compare an NFL player to a waffle fry? I'm not going to give you the answers that we gave in the episode, but make sure you go ahead and watch us on TikTok or on Instagram. The Instagram is at my Instagram, which is Nick Mantas TV. On TikTok, you could find the episodes on Fair, the number 2, Compare. If you guys are on there, Make sure you guys follow us on everything. As Jeff mentioned, follow me on Twitter as well with some new videos that are coming out at Nick_Mantas. And just enjoying it and getting ready for this beautiful weekend of some college football. So we're doing good, man.
If I had to pick a waffle NFL thing there, waffle fry, I'm going to go with Cowboys fans.
Ooh.
Because every year they
like
waffle. It's we're Super Bowl, baby. And then halfway through, it's not again. We suck. Then they win a couple of games. We're back, baby. Yeah. One more win and we get the division. Lose that game. We'll be back next year. So I'm going to go with Cowboys fans for that one. Hey, thanks for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day. We like to call you guys the everydayers. We'll be back Monday with an episode to keep you going through the doldrums of the NBA offseason. It's almost over. A few more weeks, but we got to plow through that. And we'll help you get through it right here, Locked On Spurs. You can find us on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, the Kens 5 Plus app. As I'm talking to Nick right now, my computer is showing the latest Locked On Spurs, the last episode. So, yeah, Nick's, at least in this case, pretty voice will be heard on Kens 5 all across San Antonio. So
that's beautiful.
The Kens 5 Plus voice as he goes into Barry White mode.
My ASMR voice.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Now I'm going to go to sleep now. I'm going to hit the eject button. So for Nick Mantas, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.